Good afternoon. I'm Karl Dominguez, and my presentation is about cybersecurity that's in digital advertising. So this is a 101 on ad technology and ad fraud. So we'll discuss what is ad fraud, how is it done, what it does, and how we try to detect it. So, a bit of introduction about myself. Well, I'm currently with IBM Philippines as part of the cybersecurity group. And for the past few years, I've been working with doing work on malicious URL, and file detection and threat research. And last year, we got a chance to work with the ad tech industry and ad fraud detection. Right, so for our topics for today, we'll first talk about the digital advertising economics. So we'll discuss why is this significant, why are we even talking about this, and then we'll go on with the ad tech ecosystem. So the ecosystem is actually more complex than what we will be discussing today, but it should be sufficient for the sake of our understanding on how ad fraud works. Then of course we'll discuss ad fraud and the different kinds like publisher-based ad fraud, malicious and objectionable content, and non-human traffic. And the final topic that I'm going to discuss today is the Bieber Project. So the Bieber Project is our research on how to identify ad fraud and determine if ad impressions are ad fraudish, non-human, or human. Okay, so let's proceed with the first one. So the digital advertising economy. So why are we even talking about this one? So because there's big money in it. Statistics show that the spending this year is at $72 billion in the US, and it has even already surpassed the TV ad spending. You can see on the chart that TV ad spending is at 71 billion, and digital ad is already at 72 billion this year. So it is also estimated that there will be around 5 to 6% growth every year. So come to 2020, digital ad spending will surpass $100 billion. So people are interested in the ad tech industry because they see the potential in it. And of course, because of this big money, it also attracts people to do malicious intent to earn a piece of the pie. So this is why this topic is of interest in ad tech and security also. As I have mentioned earlier, the ad tech ecosystem is complex, and this diagram we have here is just kind of an overview, but still it's hard to comprehend. So to have a better understanding, we'll just take a look at a much simplified version. Okay, let's start off with the end part. Here we have the advertiser. So, these are the ones selling the product. So basically, these are the marketers who wants the ads to be published. Okay. On the other end, is we have the publisher. These are the ones that have the ad spaces. So basically, these are the websites that we visit where the ads are served, like different websites, news websites, social media, blogs, forums, and websites. So in terms of ad space, when we're talking about ad space, the advertiser is the buyers of ad space, and the publisher is the sellers of ad space. Okay, so this is involved with that. So we also have here the ad agency. So basically, the ad agency just conceptualize what the ad will be and do the creative for the marketers. And here we have the DSP, or the demand-side platform. So this one is a very important part of the system because in the DSP is where the marketers can manage their ad campaigns. So here you can declare like what your budget is for the whole campaign, or your target demographics, what country you want your ad to appear in, the banner size, what time of the day you want it to appear, so those kind of stuff. So on the other end is the supply side platform, or SSP. So the SSP manages the impressions. When we talk about impressions, it's the views, it's the ad views. So the supply side platform manages the impressions from the different publishers. So yeah, so the SSP also helps the publishers to automate and optimize the selling of their online ad spaces. Okay, so these two platforms intersect at ad exchange. So you can think about the ad exchange as the marketplace for ad spaces. So if you've heard the term RTB, or real-time bidding, so the real-time bidding for ad spaces is done in the ad exchange. So let's have an example to better understand the flow. So for example, Nissan wants to promote the launching of the GTR here in the Philippines. So they want to promote it, so the ad agency conceptualizes their ad. Then on the DSP, they specify that the criteria for the campaign would be they want it published in the Philippines between 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. every day, viewed on a desktop, and into websites related to cars. So after setting those in the DSP, the campaign then goes on to the ad exchange for bidding. Then someone browsing the internet visits Top Gear Philippines. So Top Gear is a car online magazine that has ad spaces related to motoring. So when a user views the Top Gear page, it creates an impression, an impression. So this impression goes to the SSP and then to the ad exchange. So the ad exchange will then match the impressions with the current bidders. So since the targeting criteria of Nissan matches the Top Gear impression, they are qualified to bid for the ad space. So if they win the bidding, the Nissan ad will be served and show up in the user's browser. So basically, that's how our real-time bidding is done in the flow through the ad tech ecosystem. But as I mentioned, it is more complex than this. But this would be sufficient for us to understand ad fraud. Okay, so in the previous slide, I've mentioned that the DSP is important, and we'll take a look why. So I'm not sure if you could see the text because it's a bit small. But here we can set the maximum CPM bid. So when you hear the CPM in terms of in ads, it means cost per 1,000 impressions. So you can set that here. You can also set your total budget. So you can set it on a per daily basis or all-time budget for the whole campaign. You can set the geographic locations that you want to target. What else? There are other additional targeting criteria. Here we have platform options. You can specify the target operating systems, target browsers, mobile, via user agents. You can also do that. You can also use keywords, sentiments, and specify keywords like in my example with the Nissan ad, they specified that they want it related to cars. Yeah, so yeah, you can set that in the DSP. In here, there's an additional setting. Here you can even specify the domain names where you want your ads to appear. So if you only want your ad to appear in commercial websites or big news sites, then you can do that. And course, the most important one is uploading the creative or the actual ad. So you can here you can upload still images, GIFs, videos, flash files. So as you may have realized, this is how malvertising is done too. You upload a flash with exploit, with redirections, with drive-by downloads, and then the criteria we saw earlier in the previous slides will be is also useful for targeted attacks. So now we can proceed with the actual problem. So the ad fraud problem. What is ad fraud? So ad fraud is the deliberate practice of attempting to serve ads that have no potential to be viewed by a human user. So this means the publisher or the website owner is serving ads, but no one is seeing it. So there are different types of ad fraud, and we will discuss the main types later on. And then there are several studies and statistics out there discussing the actual extent of the problem. So for this year's estimated $72 billion spending, around 13% to as high as 60% is lost due to ad fraud. So when we take the lowest, the 13%, so from the 72 billion, so that's around $10 billion. So it's quite a lot of money lost to this problem. So who makes the money out of that? Who gets the money that is lost to ad fraud? So obviously, the traffic sellers. So the traffic sellers, they may be using bots or doing the actual visiting of the websites or to boost impression counts. And of course, the publishers or website owners also makes the money out of it. But although if they're buying traffic from the traffic sellers, they have to subtract the cost. But they can call it just an operational cost. But still, in the end, they'll end up with a positive net. So what can we do about this problem? So unfortunately, because of how naturally dirty the internet is, it is very difficult to catch publishers buying internet traffic. So how can we do it? So really, the only solution here is for the advertisers to review or audit the traffic they're receiving or the traffic coming from the publishers and flag the fraudulent ones, and so they don't have to pay for it. So a bit of introduction first to the IAB. So the Interactive Advertising Bureau is a non-profit organization where different ad tech companies and personalities are a member of. So IAB develops industry standards for the online advertising industry. And ad fraud is one thing that's been on their agenda when we started this project. So we were actually included in the meetings with the IAB. So they've released this, what they call anti-fraud principles and taxonomy, so which classifies the different types of ad fraud. And we'll take a look at that now. So there's actually a whole document about this that's available to the public. But here's just a summary of the taxonomy. We can see here that the taxonomy they created is quite large, and some categories are intersecting with each other. So we'll simplify this into more general category. So here we can group them into three main types. The first one is the publisher clicks to increase impression count. The second one is illegal or malicious content. And the last one is the use of non-human traffic to increase impression. So we'll go through each one. And first is the publisher clicks to increase impression. So the idea here is to make an ad impression look like in the advertiser side look more. So what's happening here is a user visits a website and he sees one ad. But the publisher will report that the user saw the email, right? So what are the most prominent examples on how this is done? So those two are hidden ads and ad stacking. So this is a typical legitimate website. We can see three ads, one banner and two rectangular ads, and it's all viewable to the user. But what some publisher does to break it is they put the ads into hidden iframes. So the user can see it because it's too small. And then, of course, the publisher can report that the user is have seen one or more ads, but well, it didn't. And also ad stacking. So basically, ad stacking is like only one ad is visible, but more ads are underneath the visible one, and they also generate impressions. So, but honestly, these two tricks, stacking and hiding ads, are less prevalent nowadays. So, why aren't we seeing this often now? So, because the publisher can easily get caught. So, because this trick should be done on their website, right? So, if someone audits your website, run wise though or analyze it, so they'll get caught. So, and there are still ways to do it anyway. So why do this to when you can easily get caught. So the second type of ad fraud is objectionable or malicious content. So this includes malvertising, rare downloads, scams, and objectionable content. So when we say objectionable content, these are ads with content related to hate, terrorism, child pornography, what else? Yeah, those kind of violence, hate, those type of content. So they are what's called objectionable content. So first, during our foray into the ad fraud research, we of course analyzed malware and malicious ad networks. In one investigation of malware-infested traffic, the ad network itself was serving dirty inventory or low-quality content. So, in one of our research, a malware opens a hidden browser, goes to a fake search engine, search for random keywords that it got from the command and control, then those lead to further scams or more ads like the following. You can see here that one traffic is leading to malicious download. So yeah, it's a fake Java update. Now here at the adware, so now this is why malicious downloads were considered by IAB as ad fraud too, because of adwares. As we all know, adware leads to more ads and further generating rubbish impressions. We also have scamvertising. Here we can see fake Facebook, fake IRS, lottery winners. And this one, targeted advertising. So here we can clearly see that the ad was customized for the Philippine audience. It's written in Filipino. The currency is pesos. And it has recognizable brand names like Sodexo, Robinsons, and Pure Gold. Right, so the interesting part, the use of non-human traffic to increase impression. So when you hear the term NHT, so the first word that comes to mind probably is bots, and it's true, it's bots. But one thing about NHT is that it also encompasses legitimate traffic, like search engine crawlers. They're bots. The traffic is NHT, but they're legitimate. So, what is the best way to investigate it or to pinpoint what the ad fraud traffic is? So we decided to buy internet traffic. Two questions we had when we thought of this is what is the internet traffic made of, and can we get away with it without advertising knowing it? And to help us answer those questions, we started the Bieber Project. So the Bieber Project is a honeypot website that is purposely created to record information for analysis. So we're basically copying the impression and we're saving it for further analysis. So just like this, our idea was to buy internet traffic, direct them all to the Bieber site, and then when we collected the information about the impressions, and then collectively analyze those. So here is a sample. I'm not sure if you can read some of it, but here we have sample JavaScript codes that we use. So it's basically browser fingerprinting and user interaction. So we'll discuss more about this later. I'll show you some of the information that we gathered. So yeah, just like the title said, it's like we put a wiretap onto the traffic so we can match them up. Right. So after building the honeypots, it was time to proceed on finding some vendors for offering internet traffic. So we went around several SEO forums and looked for vendors. So these are just a few that we found. So prices usually range from $5 per 10,000 to 25,000 impressions. So the price varies a bit. So not only while searching for these vendors, not only internet traffic is available. There are also sellers of likes, upvotes, clicks, followers, subscribers. So for different sites like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, those kind. But obviously there's a bit more complexity that went into this investigation. But for the purpose of brevity, let's dive into what we found. First, it just verifies what we know. The traffic are obviously made of bots, but most of it. How do we verify this? I mentioned we collected various data from the browser, right? So the clues are all right there in the impression, and let's go through some of them. So here are sample information that we got. Just some, but not all. Our list was quite big, but pretty simple. We just used JavaScript codes. You can even do it, researching in W3. You can find the browser fingerprinting codes there. For example, the plugins. So we get the plugin type, plugin length. So how many plugins is installed? Because usually a human user would install plugins in his browser to, and then we measure the screen attributes like screen size. Is it valid for human use? The window attributes. Is it hidden? Is it in off-screen? Those stuff. Geolocation, because if you're looking at a lot of impression and it's all coming from just one location, it's very suspicious, right? So it must be running a bot. And of course, user agents. This is very important because user agents tells you what the browser is used. But then we know that user agent can easily be modified, but still it's necessary to look at it. Right. So here's just a sample result. We can see that here we another important element that we get is the remote address, if you can get it, so the IP address, the window size, screen X and screen Y, language, so just sample. So as I mentioned, user agent is quite worth a look at. So here is a bot called Mr. Sputnik. So it looks like this bot is pretty honest about what they really are. They're declaring their bots. So why do you have, you may ask me, why did we have to buy internet traffic? Can we just generate our own? Of course you can. There are lots of software out there, paid and free, that are built for this function. We found lots actually, and here are some of them. There's a lot. But you can also create your own if you want. So there's a software called UBot Studio. So UBot Studio is, by the way, legitimate software. So it's a software that helps website owners and admins to collect and analyze information or automate tasks about their website. But yeah, you can use it. You can use this one to create your own traffic generator. Here are some characteristics of traffic generators if you want to use one that are quite important. So direct URL visits. You may not want this because you cannot just simply visit a website continuously because you'll notice you're a bot. So you want some delay in stay URL. You stay some random time, close it, visit another time. You also want to change your IP or proxy. So since you analysts won't find out that you're using bot in the same location, you may also want what else? Yeah, the change in user agents and deleting of historical cookies, just like browsing in incognito. So yeah, these are just some of the characteristics that you may want to consider when generating traffic. But here's a smarter way of generating impressions. Let me mention Jingling. So Jingling is a Chinese application developed for traffic exchanges. So think about this as a P2P for traffic exchange. It's in Chinese, but there are already lots of tutorials available online that helps you know what each button or options are doing. So here's how Jingling works. I install Jingling in my computer, and it starts visiting other people's websites. So when Jingling does it, it also generates tokens for you. So these tokens are like the currency of Jingling. The more tokens you have, the other people's Jingling will visit your site. Right? So it's just, I visit yours, you visit mine. So one good thing about Jingling is you won't worry about proxies or IP changes, because the traffic will be coming already from the different parts of the world where other Jingling users are. Right? So yeah, this Jingling is quite good. We're actually planning to do in-depth study of Jingling. So hopefully it pushes through. Alright, you can also use malware for traffic. I've noticed there are a lot of malware researchers in the room, so you probably reverse engineer like Powelix or Bedep. So here are some of their behavior. They create hidden browsers. They generate random movements, page scrolls, random clicks. So these three are aimed to mimic the human behavior. So some malware may also mute the volume of your system, so you won't notice that hidden browsers are running and ads are loaded in the background. So as I mentioned, some bots try to replicate human behavior, but still there's a noticeable difference. Malware tend to be too regular, like multiple impressions would look like the same, or like there's a pattern, like their mouse movements is too jerky or too fast. It's not human-like. So, the Bieber site actually has JavaScript code that records user events and engagement, like clicks, like the text they're creating, what element of the page they're hovering into, how long. So yeah, we try to record them also. And as I've said, there's a noticeable difference between a malware and a human. So a human has more like a purposeful pattern, like some of you may, while reading text, is selecting it and highlighting it. So yeah, so we studied also human impressions. We asked people, a group of people to visit the Bieber site also, so we can have a controlled impressions on how a human normally visits the site. So the question is, can the NEC traffic actually be coming from a human? Well, kinda, because sometimes the human doesn't even know that they are visiting your site and they're seeing ads, but they really don't. So how does this work? So impressions are delivered by putting your site in pop-unders, pop-ups, and items. So very trivial, but it's effective. Let's go through some clues that led us to this conclusion. First of all, most of the traffic have viewports of this that are equal to one pixel, like 1 by 1 or 1 by n. But still, it's not visible. We can see from the data we've gathered that a lot of impressions are being loaded like this. And also, as I mentioned, identifying if the window is actually active. So we can identify if a web page is loaded in a hidden browser or in a pop-under or in a new tab. So the window activity will show up as false. So back to our question. So can I buy internet traffic and get away with it? Well, it depends. As we've seen with what we've done with the Bieber Project, if an advertiser will audit the traffic and they know what they're looking for, you get caught. But if they don't, you get away with it and get the money. So, one thing also to note is when we bought the internet traffic, we noticed that the quality of the traffic is directly proportional to the price. So the cheaper it is, you get bots, traffic generators. The higher the prices you go, you get frames, pop-ups, and pop-ups. Yeah. So as a wrap up, we touched on the business of digital ads and how big it is right now. We went through to the overview of ecology of digital ads. If you want to, if you're interested in that, there's a whole document of idea about this one. It's quite complicated. We've also went through some of the main types of ad fraud and the steps we took to try and identify them. So, thank you guys. If you have any questions, please.